And we are alive. We are live. And today we are live on YouTube and X on X. I need to get used to saying X instead of saying. Guys, how's everyone doing? I've got Mr. H here. I've got John Michelle here with me. What's going on, guys? Everyone all right?
You're good, man.
All good, all good.
That's great. That's great. That's great. I've got the best here with me. The perfect people to react to this adolescent Netflix series that everyone seems to be talking about. Everyone's talking about this show here, this series here. And I've got a video to react to, and I've got a few questions for you guys as we go along. And shout outs to everyone watching right now. Um, should pile up soon, guys. Why do you think this series had such an impact? Why do you think so many people are taken by it? Why did it resonate with so many people? Why do you guys think that is?
You go first, Hassan, or you want me to?
Feel free to go first.
So I think there's a couple of first before we get into the meat of it. Number one, it had Ashley Walters in it, which is he's riding high off of the other show, Top Boy.
Yeah, Top Boy.
We
Yeah.
have Stephen Graham, I think his name is, who's an A-list actor. We're talking literally A-list. This guy's been in Scorsese's films, going way back to the Snatch and the Guy Ritchie films. So this guy's a legend, this actor. I think that was definitely bringing people in, having those two guys, especially this Steve Graham, the Graham guy. So before we even can get into why it got popular, I think you have to remember, keep in mind. I think if it had actors that were more unknown, I don't think it would have picked up so much numbers. Personally, then obviously the whole red pill thing is obviously kind of topical. What's weird to me is that for us, red pill is kind of dead. So it's weird how it's become topical again. Because the Me Too movement is kind of finished with, and toxic masculinity kind of thing is finished with. Andrew Tate is always in the news. So that's the only reason why I believe this got so started to trend. I think it's because of Andrew Tate, which is crazy.
Hassan, what do you reckon?
What was the question?
Why has this show become so popular? Why did the series have such an impact? Why so many people? Why has it resonated with so many people? Why are so many people taking it?
I don't know the figures, but I can imagine there's a lot of single parents out there, a lot of women who are either in separated relationships or maybe in a household where there's not such a dominant father figure involved, and maybe their adolescent sons, have come across these type of videos, and these type of Andrew Tate red pill manosphere content that's flooded the internet since 2020, and maybe they're actually seeing the negative impacts of, because remember there have been incidences of as we've seen throughout the red pill series, and throughout the years, actually the last couple of years, young men committing serious crimes driven by loneliness, but usually they come from a single parent household. Usually there isn't a dominant father figure in the house, and I think it's something that we may not necessarily be so aware of firsthand, but it's certainly most likely a common problem. I mean, teenage pregnancy is highest in the UK across any European nation or Western nation. So, and I think teenage pregnancy is quite high across the West anyway. So I don't have the figures at the moment to hand, but it's something that is unfortunately not spoken about, but is a serious problem in society. It seems that might be the situation.
I absolutely 100% agree. I think we are now facing, or the consequences of feminism, is coming back to haunt them. Everything that feminism has worked for, in terms of women's sexual liberation, abortion, the pill, and then we saw with Lyndon B. Johnson, we saw the housing projects in order to house women who are promiscuous, and of course, the whole thing was. It was put out there as if we are fighting poverty, but really and truly, it's just a cover up to hide the consequences of feminism. I think and everything that feminism has basically pushed out there in terms of toxic masculinity, the Me Too movement, believe all women. I think now we are facing the consequences of it, and one of the reactions, I reckon, one of the reactions of that, of what feminism has managed to create as a movement, was the red pill. Because of course, when you live out the feminist lifestyle, you're going to have more single moms raising children, because women are chasing careers, they're going to be promiscuous because of sexual liberation. So all of that is going to create a culture where fathers are not around, where masculinity is not the dominant force, where kids are not being raised by fathers. And I think this is what we are seeing. We are seeing the backlash. We are seeing the result, the consequences of feminism. And I think that's the situation. Now, for the next question, guys, we got APD here. APD, shouts to you, APD. Hi, how you doing? You all right? Yes, very, very, very good, APD. Shouts to you as well. Yeah. For my next, I'm going to play this clip. We're going to be reacting to this video. I'm going to be asking you guys several questions. Okay. And this is basically about this series. All right. So just bear with me for a moment.
Fair use.
Yeah, fair use, guys, fair use.
Episode. It wasn't one crime, yeah.
Real
but
crime, yeah.
but Andrew Tate is mentioned in here.
Yeah, the female detective mentions Andrew Tate in the second episode when the detectives go to the school of 13-year-old Jamie Miller. But Stephen Graham, who wrote this with Jack Thorne, said it was inspired by what happened to Ava White, a 12-year-old girl in 2021, and Eliane Adnam in 2023, both girls that were murdered by being stabbed. Now, the key thing, remember, though, is that a lot of the reason why this has captured the public's imagination is that you can also think about Nicholas Prosper, who recently murdered his mother, his sister, and his brother in Luton, and even Axel Rudakabana, the Southport killer. What is happening to young men that they are becoming so radicalized that they are using lethal violence?
Well, look, one of the scenes that has got everyone talking is the discovery that the
All right. And here's the question I have for you guys. What is happening to young men that they are becoming so radicalized that they are using lethal violence, just like that guy said? What do you think, guys, is happening?
Well, first of all, I actually take a little bit of I think the word is umbrage with that analysis. I think they're conflating a lot of issues there. The reason, for example, why that guy in Stockport killed those girls is a different reason why one of those girls that he mentioned was killed. I mean, we talk about two completely different cases. One case where there was a kind of like a bullying type of situation going on, and that it escalated to someone being killed, or a friendship, jealousy over a friendship. With one of the cases he mentioned, I think we had the case of the Potter boy who was mentally ill, like clearly mentally ill. He killed his family because his sister messed up a video game. He was obsessed with a video game, Fortnite, and he was obsessed with an 8-year-old character. And he started to even have pedophilia thoughts about this computer game character. His sister, using the same game, sacrificed the character in the game, and that caused him to then go and murder his family. Clearly mad, clearly mentally ill. So I think we have to be careful about just seeing all these different cases and then saying, "Oh, this is all some type of link," because there's not always a link. There's not always a link. So if you want to talk about if you want to try and put a link into it, the only link I could think is we're living in a degenerate society, a society that's on its last legs, where law and order and just general morality, civility, respect for life is just eroding year by year. Don't forget online. Online is creating all types of issues for young men as well. So let's not, some men could get radicalized online regarding, terrorist ideology. You can find that online. You can find extreme misogyny online. You can find fetishized porn online, and all these different things are things you can find online. And if you have young boys consuming that stuff, there's going to be, a knockoff effect. So if I was to give an answer, even though I don't really like the idea of trying to conflate everything, I would say online. I would say the rise of the internet and the content on the internet is the reason why we're getting these different random types of crimes and acts.
What do you reckon, Hassan?
Well, I'd like to say, first of all, it would have been nice to have maybe some incels in this group to talk about their perspectives, but unfortunately, somebody blew that opportunity out of the water.
I'm sorry.
I'm not naming any names, not pointing any fingers, but calling them
Never.
degenerates and
We would never do that.
and
We'll
mocking their wealthy relatives doesn't help.
Sad. Was that it? No, Hassan. You got more.
But yeah, as far as this video is concerned, yeah, it's JM has pointed out that the lack of, I mean, these people aren't doctors and analysts, but there is an obvious lack of awareness of what cases that they're conflating. They're just seeing them as young, as male, and as ones who've committed violent crimes. You don't put them all into the same group. You wouldn't put these what would be, I guess, referred to as incels in the same group as people committing knife crimes in drug conflicts or whatever it is. They may have a similar background, but they're not necessarily the same people. And the solutions to solving their behavioral issues would not be the same. And especially with the case of throwing in somebody who has a mental health or who is clearly insane, deleting, as they say, children randomly that have, going out to looking to cause violence randomly. That I don't know how that could be conflated with somebody who has social issues brought on by poor social conditions. Because the thing about these, I guess I'm just going to use the word incel. It's a derogatory term, but it's the only one that I can use to describe who we're talking about. Is they point out to women being the number one problem of their frustrations in most cases. I don't know why that should be conflated with people who have mental health issues, people who are involved in gang violence. They have nothing to do with each other. So this is a case of the media, blowing an opportunity to fix an issue that may just snowball into the next generation.
I'm going to say that I'm not going to put people that are involved in I'm not going to say that people who are involved in gang violence. Hold on. First of all, I just want to give a quick shout out to 15. We've got 15 of you guys watching. Shout outs to you guys. Welcome to the platform. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And welcome to the Solution Podcast, guys. First of all, I'm not going to say that, you guys know how I feel about mental health. I don't really believe in it. What I will say is that a lot of these kids that are involved in in gangs and so on are coming from single parent households. So one could make the argument that they are also incels, since we've done a lot of research. We've looked deeply into this incel topic, and I am going to re-release some of the stuff that we've done in the past, because to us this is old news. And you know, incels, how do they come about? You know, where do they come from? What's what's their family structure like? And so on and so forth. We've looked into all of that. So I would say that a lot of these kids, and I'm not taking it out from what John Michelle and what Hassan just said, that they could be conflating conflating situations here, conflating cases, because at the end of the day, the guy that went and killed those 3 girls, he had a 2-parent household. He was living in the 2-parent household, so they are conflating cases. But yeah, what's happening to these young men, again, it goes back to broken homes. It goes back to moral degeneracy that we are seeing in the West, that has been caused by liberal ideologies. That's what's happened. What do you think's going to happen when you've got a child or a kid who doesn't grow up with a father? What do you think? We've got the statistics, we've got the studies. This is not like this is not a secret. People can look up the studies and what happens to children that do not grow up by parents, especially parents who have a moral foundation, who believe in something and stick by their belief systems and don't go along by what society puts out there. So at the end of the day, we've got the studies. We can make the comparisons and we can see what happened. So what we need to find out is, why so many kids now? Why do we have a single mother rising culture? Why are single mothers becoming more, prevalent in society? Why are we losing the nuclear family? You have to ask these questions if you want to get to the bottom of it. So, and what I hate about this, what this show here, this morning show, where they're talking about this, they don't mention any of this. They go straight into blaming Andrew Tate. They go straight into blaming the manosphere. They go straight into blaming the red pill. And to me, the red pill, which I call feminism for men, is nothing but a reaction, a negative reaction that feminism caused. And I am not surprised. Because when you live out feminism, this is the outcome. And so that would be my response to that. And now I'm gonna play another video, guys, and then I've got 2 questions. And trust me, I'm good with these questions, guys. And we've got 20 of you guys watching. Shout outs to you. Welcome to the Solution Podcast, guys. All right, let's get to the next video. Hold on a second, guys. Almost there. Should be it.
13-year-old Jamie Miller, brilliantly played by Owen Cooper in the series, is consuming this material online for as long as he likes. And of course, the algorithms will direct him to ever more extreme forms.
It's an echo chamber, isn't it? It's just the same thing, but even more extreme.
And therefore, the point, in a sense, and why I'm so pleased that we're doing this item, is to get people to talk to their kids about these things. This is a problem, this male rage, this manosphere, this incel culture, this kind of buffet radicalization, where young people will take a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of something else. The key thing is to get people to start talking to boys about what it means to be a man, how to perform masculinity, because of course we've so often allowed that to be that responsibility of talking to them to be given away to social media influencers like Andrew Tate. And
this guy's cracking me up. Really? Where were the parents? Are young men being radicalized on social media by the likes of Andrew Tate and the red pill? And is it realistic? Go ahead, guys. What a joke.
You know what I realized? I think, and this is something that has always been the case. They have to find a centralized figure to blame, a scapegoat, essentially. They won't talk about the bigger picture. It's always about, let's find a scapegoat and level all our frustrations and failures as a society, whether it's on the immigrant, on the, there's always someone to to target. So now we've got to blame Andrew Tate for everything. We've got to blame Andrew Tate for this, for everything, for the gang violence, for the any type of misogyny. Let's just blame. Never mind. And to be fair to Andrew Tate, and I'm not a fan of Andrew Tate. I put it out there. I'm not a fan of his.
Me too.
Andrew Tate has pivoted away from talking about the red pill for about 2 years. Andrew Tate stopped talking about the red pill about 2 years ago.
He actually called them
He stopped talking about. He became much more political. So the fact that that's why I know.
Sorry, John Michelle.
Did that. Go ahead.
Sorry, John Michelle. I think you said one thing that's very important, Hassan. He actually called him gay. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Who called who gay?
Remember when he called out Myron and Fresh from Fresh and Fit, when he called him gay when they went to visit him in Romania, and then he called him gay to their faces while they were sitting.
Who did? This guy here.
No, Andrew Tate. Remember when
yes,
Fresh,
this is what I'm saying. So he literally pivoted away from red pill. He started to call out red pill content creators, and that probably he was ironically is probably him. He was probably the reason why the red pill kind of died off, because he turned away from it and started mocking the men that were still doing it. So I mean, it goes to show, again, that there's very disingenuous people, and they literally have to find it. Remember, guys, this media, stories, etc. The root of all of it is money. Money. It's all about money. Never look at news articles or things that are trending. I think there's some kind of real kind of social justice going on. It's all about money. So they know that the more they see Andrew Tate, the more people are going to listen to, the more views it gets, and the more money they make. It's all about money. They know very well that Andrew Tate is not talking about red pill stuff anymore. They know because they follow him more than we follow him. So they know he's not doing it anymore. So when they keep referring to him and red pill and Andrew Tate, it's because they know it creates views, it creates traction, it trends, and that fills their pockets with money. That's how I see it anyway. That's how I see it.
Hassan?
I agree 100%. This TV show, this morning, called the TV show called This Morning, it comes on ITV at 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Who's watching this?
Very good point. A good point. Women.
It's the women.
Yeah.
They're pointing out, and as Tony Montana says, look over there. That's the bad guy.
Yes.
This is why it smells of lack of responsibility, lack of actually trying to get to the conclusion of things and trying to resolve the actual issue, which is personal responsibility. I know people who we all know. Well, I'm not speaking for everybody else, but I personally know people who've grown up in single parent households, who I know people who are managing single parent households. I know single mothers in a sense, who have great kids because their kids aren't out in the streets after 9. And if they do leave the streets, they're going, because of my religious background, they're going to the mosque to pray, or they don't talk back to their mothers. They do their homework first. They do this, that, and the other. That's appropriate. Is because the mothers or the fathers in some cases take great personal responsibility and bring themselves to account long before they bring their children to account. I genuinely rarely do you see a dysfunctional child and you see a functional parent. Rarely do you see that case. Usually the parents, there's something wrong there, and then the child plays out the same. It just amplifies the chaos that they see in the home. 9 times out of 10. You show me the child, I'll tell you the parents. Very simply. And once you have loose morals establishing the household, all types of, no, you can't blame somebody on TV or on YouTube having a greater influence on you than your own parents, and your own family, or your own household, or your own society. We're all exposed to all types of propaganda growing up, but it didn't necessarily stick because maybe some of us came from a Muslim background, some of us came from a Catholic background, some of us came from a Jehovah's Witness background. all strict, objective or external moral standards that require great sacrifice, great self-accountability, great self-awareness. But in a society where there is no moral objective foundation and it's individualism being the priority, consumerism being the objective, anything can happen. Anything can happen.
I mean, I don't even. Sorry, bro. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm done.
No.
I don't need. I don't even need to add more to that.
I just want to add a quick point. Just a quick point, Nelson, if you want to add anything. San hit the nail on the head there. If you want to create if you want to create a godless society, if you want to create a society where marriage is not considered the norm anymore, it's almost considered as a liability for a human being to get involved with. If you want to push the idea of toxic femininity, if you want to push the idea that anything goes, I'll just say that anything goes. You can identify anyhow and do anything. If you want to push that type of society, which these same programs push, by the way, you're going to have a group of men that are going to be without purpose. When you have young men that are without purpose, when you're saying to young men, and I'm not blaming the Red Pill for this, by the way, don't worry about marriage. Don't try to establish yourself as in any type of masculine form. Give in to your feelings. Have no accountability for yourself as a man. When you have that type of society pushing those type of ideals, you're going to get young, aimless men. You're going to get disillusioned men. This is the real problem. It's not Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate, as I said, Andrew Tate is a symptom of the problem, and he has essentially stopped talking about this issue for the last 2 years. But of course, they won't do that. They won't talk about the stuff that they push out on their TV shows, the other shows that talk about men being, toxic for just exerting themselves as masculine men. They rather focus on scapegoating someone. So yeah, I agree. It's a much more deeper than just Andrew Tate. This is a society that is failing young men.
Do you know, I was thinking about what you guys were saying, and I didn't want to repeat myself. But you guys basically hit the nail on the head. And what I will say, so that I'm not repeating what you guys are saying, is the red pill bad? Yes, the red pill is bad. It encourages everything that a man shouldn't do. Be promiscuous, don't get married, bang 50 chicks before if you choose to get married, bang 50 chicks first. It promotes everything that is bad. Okay, there's nothing. The red pill is nothing to do with masculinity. It's literally a reaction to feminism. What upsets me about these guys and their attempt to blame Andrew Tate is that they are not taking into account that it's like they're not taking accountability for feminism. They're not taking it, they're trying to act as if feminism has never existed, as feminism is not the reason why we have the society that we currently have, why women can be promiscuous and it's okay. This has never happened in human history before, by the way. Women can just be promiscuous. For all throughout human history, for the majority of the time, men did not allow women to be promiscuous, whether it was through religion, whether it was through whatever it was, right? Whatever the moral code was, promiscuity was always shunned upon. So at the end of the day, feminism needs to take accountability for what it has caused, and it has caused the red pill, and the red pill is no good. We're not out here advocating for the red pill, not one bit. But at the end of the day, this is what feminism created, and instead of taking accountability, they want to blame that one guy. He is the reason why young boys are doing what they're doing. And I have a follow-up question to that. which I'm basically asking, haven't women been radicalized also by what they see on social media? Or is it that only men are capable of being radicalized? Because we only talk about men being radicalized. It's always men are the ones who are being radicalized. Men are the ones who are bad. And yet no one talks about how much women have been radicalized and what women do that contributes to the current society that we have, to the degenerate society that we have. It's always men, because men do bad things and so on. It's still the same narrative. It's still the same. What I'm noticing is it's still the same feminist narrative. Men are to blame, women are innocent and pure. I'm sure social media is able, social media, if social media is to blame for the radicalization of men and women, well, why do we only talk about men being radicalized? Why don't we ever talk about women being radicalized? So what do you guys reckon?
Well, it fits in with a society that has turned its head, has turned morals upside down. Where now to be for men to become feminine is what is seen as a positive, and for women to become more masculine is seen as positive. So this is a society that has completely turned the tables on what traditional values were. But I just want to make a quick point also. When's the last time you heard names like Hugh Edwards being mentioned? Remember Hugh
No.
Edwards?
I heard the name.
Remember Hugh Edwards?
I
Who's
remember
Hugh
the name.
Edwards?
Is he a presenter?
See, this you just proved my point. The fact that you
Who's he?
guys can't remember him, this was one of the most famous news presenter who was done for pedophilia, guys, recently.
Wasn't it Philip Schofield?
That's him. I was going to mention him second, but Hugh
So-
Edwards is it's a presenter, the news presenter.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, him.
The
Oh,
Welsh
him.
man.
Right. So
Well-
the fact that you guys don't see, this is what I'm talking about. So we're supposed to be mad at Andrew Tate, but yet no one knows for us. It's taken a couple of months for us, everyone, to forget about Hugh Edwards. You see my point, guys? This is how
I know that
dangerous to
guy.
me.
As soon as I saw his picture, I was like, yeah, I know that guy. I used to see him on TV
Right.
all the time.
This is how dangerous the media is. This is how dangerous they can. They choose who their hate target is. We don't choose it. They choose it. If they don't want us to hate someone, they just take him off the screen. Then we forget who he is. Philip Schofield, who was on This Morning, by the way. Seducing a 15-year-old boy while being a married man with kids. But you got on the same show, you want us to hate Andrew Tate. But on your show, you had a man that was grooming a 15-year-old boy. But we don't want to talk. You don't want to talk about that. You see my point?
Yeah, I see your point. Bro, can you give some examples of how the social media has radicalized women?
Has radicalized women. Can I give examples? You want me to find examples?
No. Just from what you've observed. Everyone has experienced social media. From what you've observed, how has social media? Because we always talk about the radicalization of men by social media. How have social media?
I can give an example. Recently, we had this stupid meme going around about what's safer for a woman to be around, a bear or a man. That's a perfect example of that. To the point that you have T-shirts of women talking about, the bear is more. So this is what I'm talking about. So when you have this type of and that is radicalization, by the way. There is radicalization when you have young girls feeling that men are so dangerous that they rather be in the vicinity of a wild animal that would tear you to shreds. Okay, when you have society telling with girls that we as men are more dangerous than a wild animal, that's radicalization, right there. That's radicalization.
Yeah, Hassan, go ahead.
Yeah, in a slow and subtle way, there has been a shift, and the shift is
and I'm reluctant to say it because it plays into the whole red pill mentality or the manosphere mentality, but there is an obvious shift of to demean the man is to uplift the woman, whether it be the promoting the idea of the first lady.
Guys, we've got an alarm going off in the background. I don't know whose that is.
Yeah, that's somebody in my house.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, they turn it off now. Yeah, so for example, you'd see the first lady in the US taking a more prominent position when it was really just the president's wife originally, if you go further back in history. Cinema, that's been a big you all seen the films where a woman that's weighs 100 kg or no, not 100 kg, that's quite heavy actually, weighs 100 pounds or something, 120 pounds, being up an army of men, the gender swapping of roles. I guess that's the media, I guess. But yeah, the shift is subtle, it's there, that the man is the enemy to a woman's success, and the woman is perpetually a victim by the hands of a man. The existence of a man is a threat to a woman in every way, shape, or form. Whether it be as you said in that example, would you rather be in the woods with a bear, or would you be alone with a man? And the obvious the suggestion being that a bear can't control his urge to consume you, but a man is morally more questionable because he can make the choice. It's society as a whole shifting that way.
I would say.
I give it. Sorry, Dustin, you go ahead. Sorry.
No, yeah, I was just going to say. I would say that the demonization. Am I saying that right? When they demonize, the demonizing of the patriarchy, the demonization of the patriarchy. Basically, retelling history and retelling it through the lens of the patriarchy being the violent ones, or being violent, as if they managed to survive up until now by themselves, as if it wasn't men dying for them. So trying to make the patriarchy look like it's evil, when the patriarchy is the main reason why women even have their rights, why women are so-called free. This idea also of freedom that I have an issue with. I don't think a woman being promiscuous is that's another way that they've been radicalized. They've been made to believe that they are free, that basically showing your naked body is freedom, being promiscuous is freedom, using your body in to obtain resources and attention from men is so-called freedom. And who taught them that? Feminism taught them that. So this idea that they can sell their bodies because it's freedom and you can do whatever you like, I think that's how women have been radicalized. And to me, this is not freedom, it's actually enslavement, because the consequences of that have been absolutely tragic. And this idea that women don't have to do, what are the duties, and what do you call it, Andrew Wilson mentioned it today on the Piers Morgan show. It says we have all these requirements from men. Men are supposed to be protectors, they're supposed to be this, they're supposed to be that, but what are the duties of a woman? Because most men don't get a virgin woman in the wedding night. Most men don't get a lot of the things that they used to get. They don't get virtuous women, they don't get chaste women, they don't get none of that. So and that's and he was basically saying that that's due to there not being duties for women. We don't have expectations for women in society, but we do have expectations for men in society. And the expectations for men is we are still supposed to be protectors, we are still supposed to be all of these things. That's why the conversation is always on the men rather than on the women. Yeah, go ahead, bro. Sure.
But remember this, and this is something that we kind of came to a conclusion when we started talking about the red pill, was that all the issues that we talk about, the root of it is some corrupt man out there. So when you talk about the feminization, the radical feminization of women, there's men that are behind that.
Oh
It's
no,
men
men
that
are, created it. Men are the ones who created it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's men that have created an avenue for women to, rebel. So if you want to call it rebellion, to kind of give into the worst parts of human the nature. Men have created avenues for this. Okay, it's men that have created a platform for women who are less than desirable to have a voice, to be seen. Because ultimately, some men, this is all about money for some men, and they don't care what avenue they'll use. If it means promoting degeneracy, they'll do it to get money. For example, I was watching a while back. There was a show, that Fresh and Fit type show. I forgot what it's called. It's a different type of, same type of forum, but different guys. And they had all these women around the table, and they asked the women, "Would you rather be the wife, what was it, the mistress of a king, or the servant's wife?" And every single woman said, "Guess what?
Mistress of a king.
Right." Now, does that represent women all over the world? I don't think so. I don't think it
Mm.
does.
No, it
And I know
doesn't.
it doesn't. But every woman on that platform said, the king's mistress. So again, who's putting that material out? Who's allowing that type of content to go viral? It's men that are behind it. It's the men that are behind it. It's men that put the women on the platform, chose those particular type of women, and then allowed that response to go viral. So again, the same people. You can point to the Andrew Tates if you want, but when you look at it, when you really deep what's going on, you can see that it's a bigger issue than Andrew Tate, and there's lots of men that actually are the issues. When you really look deep into the issues.
I would say that feminism wouldn't have become an issue if it wasn't for men or allowing it to become an issue. Women didn't go to war with men. They're not as strong as men. Men could have stopped feminism from day dot, from the moment it started, but they allowed it. So that's why I would say men are behind everything. But nevertheless, we cannot take away the blame that women play, because women are sentient beings. They can make decisions for themselves, and they can always say no. But I do put most, and I hear what John Michel is saying, because men are the leaders. We are supposed to be the leaders of society.
Right.
So if we are the leaders of society, ultimately it is our responsibility to put a stop to all this degeneracy, to put a stop to all this nonsense that's going on. Because believe you me, nothing happens in society unless men say so. So if
Right.
women are getting away with all this nonsense, it is ultimately due to men.
Well,
It really.
it's a reflection of how weak men have become. If you have a bunch of men complaining about women, and and at the same time you're calling yourself a leader, and men and women aren't equal, and men are superior to women, fine. If you really believe that, how do you look like complaining about women?
Yeah, but
You look
bro,
stupid.
a lot of these men are also the result of being feminized. So
Right.
I would say a lot of these men are reacting to to basically the products of feminism. Just like these little the this all these generations that came after the 1970s are nothing but by products of things. So a lot of these men don't know better. They just grew up in a liberal society, being told that this is how it is and blah blah blah, and they're trying to make sense of all of this nonsense. But I also believe in personal responsibility, regardless of how much society influences you to think one way. There's also objective truth that we can all tap into. So I don't believe in this idea that we are basically brainwashed and can't think outside of ourselves. So, and that's why I still put most of the blame on men, because men need to stop. Because a lot of what they do, they know it's wrong. So why do they still do it? But guys, I don't want us to talk too much about it, because some of the answers that you're giving is some of the answers that I know you're going to be giving to what I'm going to be playing next. Hold on a second.
Adnam
Can I just add one
in
more thing?
2023, both girls that were murdered by being stabbed. Now, the key thing, remember, though, is a lot of the reason why this has captured the public's imagination is that you can also think about Nicholas Prosper, who recently murdered his mother, his sister, and his brother in Luton, and even Axel Rudakabana, the Southport killer. What is happening to young men that they are becoming so radicalized that they are using lethal violence?
Well, look, one of the scenes that has got everyone talking is the discovery that the teenagers in the drama are using emojis as sort of secret language with double meanings, hiding their true intent behind the messages.
But how much truth is there to this secret emoji language, and which emojis could be cause for concern?
Well, we're joined now by Alice Beer on the sofa, and also Dr. Olivia Brown, who's an associate professor in digital futures at the University of Bath. Thank you for joining us this morning, Olivia. I mean, we should point out that you have a real interest in online behaviour extremism, and you've spent 5 years studying the far right, this manosphere and incel behaviour. David has just given us an outline of the idea of incel behaviour and how pervasive that's becoming. And then when you watch that drama from your perspective, what did you make of it? Particularly that scene we just looked at, where we suddenly understand that young people are using these emojis in order to deliver unseen messages.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really fantastic piece of television. And I think the main thing here is it's shining a light on the fact that within online communities, people are using emojis, they're using memes, they're using specific terms and phrases to communicate things that might look on the surface to be quite innocent, but it's really shining a light here that there is often a hidden meaning to these memes, to these emojis, that's only really understood by the community itself. So if an outcome of this is that parents are talking to their children more, well, I think that's only a really positive thing.
And Dr. Olivia, these emojis are constantly evolving, essentially. But can you give us some examples that exist at the moment that you've seen before and what the meanings are?
Yeah, so one of the most common ones, and it's talked about in the show, would be the emoji of the pill. So this is to represent the concept of red pilling. So this is used by lots of different communities across the manosphere, essentially conveying this idea of someone opening up to see the real truth in the world. It's sort of borrowed from ideas from the Matrix films, if you've maybe seen those. But for people in the manosphere and the incel communities, this tends to mean promoting ideas around male superiority over women, and importantly, women being the cause of men's issues within society. And you can certainly see how that might fuel anger towards women. And of course, as we see in the show, actually violence towards women as well.
Guys, is social media to blame? Is social media to blame? If not, then who is to blame? Hassan, I see what you put in there as well. I will play it, bro. Is social media to blame? If not, then who is to blame?
It's funny listening to this discussion because this video, because they talk about emojis like they're gang signs. They're speaking to each other through emojis and things like this. Simple solution. Why do these kids have so much autonomy and agency? Just take their phones away. Simple. What are these pills and these bombs and these 100s? Why are you guys communicating so much? Why do you have a subculture? Your children go to school, study, come home, shut up. Simple. Right? And this goes back to the term teenager. This is a term that wasn't. I'd have to look it up again, but I remember hearing of the term. I think JM might know, but you guys might know. But the term teenager wasn't didn't come about until the late 60s or something like this. Before then, you were either a child or you're an adult. The term teenager, I think, is just used to by the marketing industry, and it was coined by the marketing industry to promote and sell certain products, because at a certain age, you've matured out of childhood, but you haven't developed into adulthood yet. And you are far more susceptible to advertising. I think that's where it roots from. I have to look it up now. But this is how society exploits. There is no, what's that expression? It takes a village to raise a child. society has shifted away from that. There's of course there is abuse of children, there is abuse of the young, and that has been the case throughout history. And there are certain measures put into place to protect children from predatory adults, and there has been a case of that throughout history, especially in the UK and various other countries. Measures have been put into place to prevent that from being the case. But I think society may have gone too far, giving children too much autonomy to the point where they can develop their own subculture, present their own perspectives of reality, establish their own perceptions of morality, because they have become protectorates or sovereigns of the state. Right? You mess with the child, you mess with the state. Your freedom is at liability. Again, there should be consequences for abuse, no doubt about it. But the idea of this underdeveloped person is completely in control of their life, to the point where I think at some point under the Biden administration, the previous administration in the US, that if you are trans, as in if you're a child that feels like, if you're a young boy who feels like a woman, or a young woman who feels like a boy, you don't need to tell your parents. But if your parents say that you can't transition, that may become under abuse of some sort, and you may be arrested. This is you can't have it all. You can't protect the child completely and then remove the parent away from any level of responsibility, and then try to produce a stable and functioning society. It's these are the flaws and the aches and pains of secularism. It's morality underwritten and developed as we go along. We will solve it as we go along. Well, hold on. You can't manage a society like that. Things move far more quickly than you can imagine, and things shift in the wrong direction very quickly. This is just my opinion. I mean, we started off with, I'll go off track there. But before I'll give up to you guys. You guys are talking about men are responsible, and there needs to be more of a focus on men taking responsibility, not necessarily being the burden of all the blame, to be blamed for all of society's ills, and to overlook the how women have morphed into something else. You're right there, but just to give an example of how men have quite a great influence on society, more than we care to admit. Even the term toxic masculinity comes from a man. It's a man who coined that term, made it popular. His name is Terry Kerpus, a psychologist, used to describe men who are violent in prisons. And he went into detail what toxic masculinity means. And it pretty much describes an incel. But yeah.
Hold on, bro. Actually, I was watching this video, and what you've just said there, toxic masculinity apparently was a Canadian woman who invented it. No, okay. Sorry. You're right. No, I apologize. You're actually right. I was thinking of the term incel. It was actually a Canadian woman who invented it. My bad. That was my fault. Yeah. John Michelle, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I want people to realize that I have to go back to what I said earlier on. The media literally just sensationalizes things just for profit. All this talk of emojis, and it's all just a way to kind of sensationalize a topic, make it nice and juicy, and secret languages and inside worlds and secret knowledge. This is what they do. They literally just create these kind of, they overblow issues. We all know that the red pill is finished. It has been finished for a long time. They know it too. But what they want to do, they want to make a quick buck. They think if we make this a new kind of boogeyman topic, start talking about secret emojis and secret codes and languages, and this is what your kids are doing, you don't realize. It all creates a kind of frenzy of activity, and it creates media, and newspapers get sold, and people watch the news a bit more. That's what it's all about. You cannot take the media seriously. You really can't. And this is the perfect example. What are they talking about with emojis? The red pill emoji has been used for years. to represent the red pill. That's it. There's nothing new about using the red pill emoji. There's nothing new about it at all. So the fact that they kind of suggested this is some type of new language is a load of rubbish. People have been using emojis to talk on smartphones for years since it was created. It's no different. So yeah, I can't take a lot of this stuff seriously.
Yeah, shouts to, we got 28 guys, 28 people watching. Shouts to all of you guys listening to the Solution Podcast. We're just going through these questions quickly. And guys, listen, don't forget to of course comment, like, and subscribe, guys. But yeah, you touched on something very important, bro. It's Keir Starmer who started all of this. He's the one who, remember the guy that killed the young man that killed those three girls, right? He basically said this is the result of online, of what kids are watching online. They're watching violent content online, and he got criticized for it because of they look at him as someone who's trying to censor free speech. So it was Keir Starmer that basically has been pushing this, and Keir Starmer has spoken twice in Parliament about this program here, Adolescence. So it's Keir Starmer that's basically brought all this back to surface again. The red pill, let's blame the red pill, and the whole idea is to basically bring more censorship to the internet, so that they're basically saying the reason why these kids are committing these acts of violence, it's because of what they see online, not because of the feminist ideology, not because of what that transpired, what the consequences of that have been. It's not because of that. It's because of let's not take accountability for what we've done, for what we've allowed, for what we've legalized. You know what? Let's just blame the red pill that's only been around for a couple of years, and it's now dead. And the reason why we need to blame that is because really and truly what they really need is censorship. So they were looking for scapegoats, someone to blame, and they said, "Ooh, red pill, that's a good one," because we're never going to take accountability for what we've done. Forget that. So this is it's because of Keir Starmer. So to me, this is social media to blame? No, social media is not to blame. Social media is a reflection of society. It's a reflection of, if social media is bad, it's because society is bad. It's because people in society are bad. People are only posting things that they believe in. It's just, social media it's a mirror. It just shows how bad society is. It just shows how bad people are in society. End of. That's all social media is. So why are you going trying to ban it? Because you don't like what you've created, you don't like what you've allowed, for liberalism, for feminism. That's the reason why he wants to censor social media, or he's blaming the red pill for why these for why young men are doing these things. Why not blame the single mother culture? Why not blame that? The reason why they can't blame that is because it goes against feminism, and feminism is something that they support. And this is what I'm trying to say. Why not blame the lack of the fact that marriages are declining? Why not blame it on that? Why not blame it on the fact that there is no nuclear family anymore? Because it goes against the agenda of feminism. That's the reason why they can't blame that. So guess what we're going to blame it in? Something that's only been around for a couple of years. Let's blame it on Andrew Tate, because it's the most famous, and Andrew Tate hasn't spoken about it for a long time now. It's like, come on, what a joke. So shouldn't the parents protect the children from social media? Isn't it the job of the parents? And then we're going to talk about the solutions, and then we're going to end it there, and we're going to have it a bit more free flowing. But shouldn't the parents, where are the parents? Because I never hear the parents. I never hear about the parents. Where's the parents in all this, guys?
Well, because their own kids are probably doing all sorts of stuff. They've got the time to look after their own kids, and their own kids are probably not talking to them, or probably rebelling. So they say, instead of taking some accountability for your own wayward kids, let's blame it on an outside force. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I respect the country. I think it's Australia that's actually not allowing smartphones. They're not allowing kids to have smartphones till they're 16. There's a country that's introduced that. That's a step in the right direction. That's people taking accountability and not just blaming it on one individual and saying, you know what, as a society, we need to have some ownership about how we're grooming our own kids. So let's take away the smartphone, which is the access point for all of this stuff, until they're 16. That's how you deal with it. You don't single out one individual and blame him. You take accountability of it. You take accountability of the fact that you give your child a smartphone when they're 8 years of age. You take accountability of you always working all the time and haven't got time to monitor your own kids. Take
Mike,
accountability for how you raise your own family. Take
Mike,
accountability that you ran away, that you had kids and then ran away from them. Take accountability that you had kids with someone who wasn't suitable to have kids with and you ended the relationship. Take accountability for that. If you're a single father, take accountability for you destroying your relationship with the person you decide to have a child with. If you're a single mother, take accountability for having a child with someone that wasn't suitable, that wasn't in a correct, the suitable partner for your child's father. Take accountability for that. Take accountability for the fact that people can't afford to look after their homes and they've got to have the mum and dad working. Society take accountability for that everyone has to work 10, 11, 12 hours a day and can't look after their kids. But you see, they don't want to do that now, so they want to pick one individual and blame him.
I'm teaching my kids how to communicate with me through smoke signals, because they're never going to get a phone, not until they're adults. So smoke signals is the way. Pigeons, I'm teaching them how to do that too. Yeah, Hassan, bro, what's your take on this?
What was your question?
Parents, where are the parents, bro? Where are the parents?
I think
should the parents protect the children? Isn't it the job of the parents to protect the children?
I think this. Judging by how I see kids behave generally, because I grew up in a very strict household, like very strict. I'm sure you guys did as well. And strict doesn't necessarily mean abusive. Strict means, this is your narrow path. You grow into a bigger path, but don't stray away from this path.
Boundaries. It means boundaries.
Yeah. The parents in modern society are some of the worst parents in history.
No, not some of the worst. Not some of the worst. The worst. As evidenced by the kids that could have been created.
Yes. I say this because the priority isn't upon building character and knowing your place in society. It's more of a focus of entitlement and lack of moral responsibility. It's you are special because I say you're someone special, and anybody who disagrees with that is your enemy. And what's the other one? You are, what you feel is good is good. What you feel is bad is bad. In a sense, your feelings being your moral compass, which is quite the worst moral compass you can have, right? And it produces a very self-absorbed person, and that you can't build a society on self-absorbed people. It doesn't allow connections to establish, bonds to be made, boundaries to be established, and such. You look at the work of feminists, and I'm just googling feminists and what they say about kids. I don't know feminism that well. I personally don't care about it too much. But they really seem to be in their writings focusing on fighting the patriarchy, and the other one is really cultivating the idea of wherever I didn't receive what I wanted, I'm going to give it to you. But from an adult's perspective, what you're doing is you're overindulging a child to a certain degree, and the problem with that is they there's no limit to their destructive nature, and because their self-absorbed being cannot be, it can never be filled. Our desire to fulfill our ability to fulfill our desires can never be complete, right? We can never fulfill all our desires. But if that's your moral compass and that's your objective, then it's never ending, right? You just, and when it's outsourced to, you can't physically reprimand your kids, and you can't do this and you can't do that.
Oh yeah, apparently you have to ask. This isn't a joke, guys. You're going to ask your baby for permission to change the nappy. I'm not making that up. You look that up. It's actually, yeah.
Listen, when you live in a society where you have to ask what a man and a woman is, and it sparks, it's a great topic, and people are really, they're really talking about it, they're taking it seriously. That society.
I saw something. There's a video going around that's viral, and when I watched it, it just made me laugh because there was everything wrong with the kids and society was in this little video. Someone took a video of these kids on a platform, and they all had big knives, right? So that immediately you're thinking, oh gosh, must have been really scary. I've never seen something so ridiculous in my life. So you had two sets of kids all holding big knives. One of them had wearing those stupid little handbags that they wear, and one of them would wave the knife at the other guy, and the guy would jump back. Then the guy would wave the knife at the other guy, and he would jump back. Then the guy would thrust the knife forward, the guy would jump back. And it was literally like a comedy. I think they don't want to fight. Clearly, they don't want to fight. They're more interested in just waving a knife around. Nobody wants to get hurt. Nobody wants to get their little designer jeans messed up and their handbag messed up. But they're all goons, apparently. These are the goons. This tells you everything that's wrong in society right there. A bunch of feminized boys that think they're tough.
Amen to that. Listen, guys, we're about to conclude everything that we've been talking about. Because I just wanted, just give me a second. Let's just finish this quickly, because this will conclude everything basically. Do you want to hold on? Let me just let's get through this one, bro. Hold on.
I'm fascinated because, of course, your interest is in this path of watching that drama, and of course we did point out it is a drama. Just how real that felt to you with somebody who's an expert in this field.
It felt really real, and I think that's the really depressing but also important thing to come out of this show, is that we need to be talking to young people more about the communities that they're in, the content that they're exposed to, and also crucially the way that this can impact upon behaviour. And we're seeing this, as David's mentioned, time and time again with real world cases of violence across the globe. This is not a UK issue, this is a global issue, and really trying to understand what the effects are on young people of being exposed to this type of extreme content time and time again on all sorts of platforms. In fact, it's almost harder for them to avoid the content than it is for them to actually seek out the content.
Yeah. Olivia, there's going to be loads of mums and dads sitting at home right now that are going to have seen Adolescence and hear what we're talking about, and they're going to be terrified. What advice would you give them?
The main thing is to try to create conditions in which you could have that open and honest conversation. What we don't want, and it's shown very well in the programme, is young people locking themselves in their bedrooms and feeling unable to express concern or worry if they come across content that makes them feel a certain type of way, that maybe makes them feel uncomfortable. So the best thing that we could do as parents is to encourage a consistent, open and honest conversation. Make your child feel as though if they're worried about something online, that they can come and talk to you about that. And of course, it's a very tricky balance to strike there, but we really want to encourage more open and honest conversation between parents and children, because we know that children are being exposed to this extreme content more than they ever have.
Guys, what do you think of that solution? Is the solution to
be a parent? The solution is to be a parent. Being a parent, it's not about having stupid, tough, so-called tough conversations. The solution is to take everything electronic out of the room and leave a bed there.
Listen, hold on. Let me get it.
That's the solution.
They say
That's the
it's a
solution.
consistent.
About have difficult
open-
difficult conversation about the content they see. If the issue with the content, you take away the means of the content. You take away the phone, you take away the TV, you take away the computer, and you leave pens and paper, books, homework, a bed. That's it. That's what you do.
I'm sorry for laughing. I'm sorry for laughing. I just get, I knew that would be the reaction. But they say they, you know, parents need to communicate more with the kids. You know, they need to create kind of like a safe space. You know,
Yeah, the
they need to,
communication also is give me all the electronics. Take out the TV. Give me the TV. Give me your phone. Here's pen and paper. Here's a library card. That's the communication. Make sure you're
oh,
home after school. 5 minutes. I'm timing you. I know how long it takes to get from home to school. Make sure you get here at this time. That's
what
the
you reckon?
communication. It's not
What you
about,
reckon?
oh, what did you watch online? Do you feel uncomfortable about what you saw online? What kind of conversation is that?
Oh my days! Oh my days! That's right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think she's making some good points.
Go on.
I think she's making some good points. It's important that the children can speak to their parents and know that it is a safe space to speak your mind and express your thoughts. But yeah, but I
Yeah,
agree
it's a
with,
safe space. It'll be a very safe space.
Yeah.
Very sparse space.
Yeah.
Space safe for the sparse. It'll be very safe. Because there'll be nothing in it apart from a bed and a desk.
Oh my!
That's how safe it will be.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, go
I agree, but I agree. Although I may not go to the extremes of what seems like a 1980s prison cell bedroom type situation, as JM is describing.
They'll have a window. They'll have a window.
Oh,
You
fair
see
enough.
how?
You see what I mean? Yeah, there's nothing wrong. There's a window there. Yeah, go on.
But yeah, it's a key. It's really the when the internet or access to social media and things like this, it's an open window to the sewer. If there is, unfortunately, what do they call it? iPad generation. I think that's a term I've heard, where the parents just say, "Hey, look at this," and just access the internet. That's really you're playing with how can I say, you're playing with fire there, and like for example Twitter, you can just access all types of filth on Twitter. It's not like YouTube. It's not like a lot of other social media. For some reason, it's not like Facebook. It's not like and none of that is censored. None of that is censored to a certain degree. So the idea that children can go out, interact with all types of insanity online, and then it's their responsibility to speak to you. It's a bit counterproductive. It doesn't make sense. So the idea of restricting kids' access and to the point where they may feel uncomfortable, they may feel unhappy with the idea of not having access to what their friends may have access to, will save a lot of headache on the other end. Will save a lot of issues from occurring, and them interacting with topics and situations that they shouldn't be doing so. So again, this is an example of the society allowing too much autonomy and individualism at a far too early age. For some reason, there's an obsession of you're your own person, you do what you wish, and I'm here in a sense to consult you, which is the picture that she's presenting to a certain degree. That's a recipe for disaster. That's really a recipe for disaster. And
do you know what?
Yeah.
Sorry, bro. You still talking? Sorry.
Yeah, I'll just conclude. I have to take this with a pinch of salt because this TV show is presented at 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. So I know most of it is nonsense, and it's probably meant for an audience still in their pajamas, drinking their favorite cup of cocoa with marshmallow in there, and just after it's just turned the Hoover off or some nonsense. I don't know. So I can't take this too seriously. It is a product not for me, but everything I'm hearing is pure nonsense. Yeah.
Sensationalized nonsense. It's gossiping, actually, kind of.
Yeah, but you know the problem with this, JM and Hassan? Do you know the problem with the advice that she's giving? First of all, this advice doesn't work. We know it doesn't work, because what she's basically saying is, yeah, it's okay. Just encourage those lines of conversation between you and the child. But let the child, nothing about restricting what they actually watch online.
Right.
Nothing about what is right and what is wrong, what they should watch and what they shouldn't watch. Nothing about
Yeah.
morality. There's nothing about that. So we know what she's doing is wrong. It's actually
So-
a Marxist ideology, because what
So
she's
Nelson,
saying.
sorry, just to jump in. Sorry, I had to interrupt, but
Yeah.
I'm going to say this before before I lose it.
No
There's a
worries.
phrase called what they call closing the stable door when the horse has already gone. I can't remember the exact phrase, but basically, like, the horse goes and then you close the door behind it. That's
Yeah.
basically what she's saying. Your child, don't worry about the child's already gone into the internet world.
Yeah.
Let them do that, and then try to control it after.
There you go. That's exactly
That's the advice.
That's exactly the advice. There is no morality there. There is no, okay, listen, that you can't watch this, you can't watch that, you shouldn't be online,
Right.
period. Because
Yeah.
it's too dangerous. You're probably going to venture out into this site and that site,
Right.
and it can be addictive. Why? Because I've lived and I know that these are the dangers of it. What they're actually doing is they're actually giving advice that doesn't work, so that the state can have more control over the kids. So what's going to happen next, once this becomes more of an issue, more of a prominent issue? This is what they're going to do. They're going to start issuing laws, which will not only involve censorship, it will also involve the schools playing more of a parent role in the child's life, in the kid's life, through schools. So it's almost like, okay, it's to me, it's nothing more than a plot for the state to basically have more control over your children. That's
Yeah,
all it is.
100%.
Because this woman's supposed to be some kind of what, I don't know, psychologist or psychiatric, something like that, something to do with that type of stuff. And she knows this won't work. She's not stupid. She knows the advice that she's giving is not stupid. Do you really think a child is going to sit there with a phone and start, because my parents made me feel comfortable about talking to them, and I've seen this online. I am going to go up there and speak to my parents. And these are the families. These are the families that have fathers. We haven't even got into, what about the families that don't have fathers? What about the families that don't actually? We haven't even got into. There are families out there that don't mind their children watching explicit content because they believe that one day they're going to grow up and see it anyway. There are parents out there that don't actually care.
Yeah.
So it's like, she knows this advice will never work. So why is she giving this advice? Because it won't work, because it will make the situation worse. And God knows what kind of laws the government will then say, because it's what they always do. They create the problem, control the reaction, and then offer the solution. So they created the problem by allowing all this degeneracy to basically be accessible to children, and then they basically control the reaction, and then they offer the solution once things become really bad. And it's like, look, guys, we're just trying to help. They do it all the time. We've got 37 of you guys watching. Shout outs to you. But yeah, this is pretty much the reaction to the thingy. So yeah, Hassan, I know you wanted to play a video. If you guys got anything else to say, yeah, bro.
Yeah, so the reason I picked this video, I haven't seen all of it, but it just it just answered the question of why would this be such a trending topic. And I just randomly found this video. I watched like maybe 5 seconds of it. I thought, oh, this might answer the questions that we might have of why this is such a trending issue, to the point where Netflix has got a series on it. The Houses of Parliament are talking about it, blah, 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 blah. So I'll play this and we'll just watch it together.
So I've made some videos talking about how I successfully
Okay, so the volume is a bit off.
depilled my red-pilled son, and this. So I've made some videos talking about how I successfully depilled my red-pilled son, and this is one of the questions that came up, and it's so obvious. I can't believe I didn't think of it. So thanks for asking. Basically, we were just having a normal conversation, and he said to me, "Well, women are gold diggers anyway," and I said, "What women?" And he said, "Just women in general." And I said, "Well, name one woman in our life that is a gold digger." And he said, "Well, I don't know any." Like, that's not the point, it's just women in general. I was like, well, it's not just women in general because you don't know any of them. So like, that's shouldn't be something that you've bought into when you've seen actually no proof of it. You've literally never experienced this in your entire life. And he was like, yeah, well, it was said on this. And then he showed me the video and I was like, do those men look like they've got gold to dig? And he kind of sat with that for a minute. And then he was like, well, it's not the point though, is it? I says, the point is, mate, a lot of men who have got money don't mind spending money on their partner, the woman that they love, because it makes her look and feel good, right? The only people who begrudge women who want to have money spent on them is men who don't have money, but still want that woman. They want her to drop their standards for him, even though he can't provide the lifestyle she wants and expects. And then he gets mad at her for it, for expecting money. But it's just a lifestyle choice at the end of the day. And like, you know full well that women aren't doing that en masse, because otherwise nobody would be in a relationship in my area. I live in a low income area. It's like poverty stricken. Do you know what I mean? And like a lot of the men are in relationships, even though they don't earn more than minimum wage. You know what I mean? So basically that's how the conversation started, but I kind of can't like keep going with the video because my dinner is done.
So yeah, she's talking about how she has a son that's red pill, as it were, and quoting quotes that we all know, all women are gold diggers and such, and the difficult conversations that a woman has to have with her son who has this. And strangely enough, no mention of my husband, the father, and such in this scenario. Talking about how she had to de-radicalize her son or de-red pill her son. Which is an indication of why this is such an important topic as far as the media is concerned. It's young men in households who are unaware of what the path to masculinity or manhood is, because they're probably in a single parent household. Therefore, they come across this. Therefore, they become a problem for the mother. Therefore, the red pill grows. Therefore, the manosphere grows. Therefore, the king of the manosphere, which is Andrew Tate, is the scapegoat of the whole situation. It's a problem with just being resolved with another problem. And I think we may be living in a woman's world. Feminism may have succeeded. So we may be being misrepresented in media and in society in general as men, because feminism succeeded in cutting off its own nose to spite its face.
Yeah, I 100% agree. 100% agree. Go ahead, John Shaw.
I was just going to say, in a society that's leaderless, you're going to get, there's a famous scripture that talks about ideologies going to and fro. That's what you're seeing. There's no structure, there's no leadership, there's no actual code about how to live. So an ideology comes in, it's just ridiculous, but it gets taken in, and the pendulum swings way the other way, and there's a reaction to it. So it swings back, goes too far that way, then it swings back again. Then you get where both pendulums are swinging at the same time. So there's rampant feminism, but there's also rampant misogyny and red pill, and then you got. So this is the society that we're living in. Is it any like? Of course, the kids are going to be screwed up. They don't know which way to go. They have no code to say, okay, this is the way you're supposed to live your life. This is how you're supposed to treat women. This is how you're supposed to treat men. This is how you're supposed to conduct yourself. Where do we have that? Because when it's a secular society, that has gone out the window. When you have a secular society where there's no God, there's no religious code or morality that you're going to adhere to, you're going to get wishy-washy, weird ideologies going back and forth with consequences of it. And we're seeing the consequences of that.
Do you
If
know
you're a
what's
religious person, the concept of a gold digger, does it enter into the woman's mind or a male's mind? It's not it doesn't, there's no concept of that in a a religious, I lean towards Christianity myself, so I can only really speak from that. But a real Christian family or household, there's no concept, or society, there is no concept of a gold digger.
No.
Nobody would know what that means.
Yeah, what is
It would
that?
be a
What's
foreign
that?
concept to men and women.
Gold digger.
It would be a
Right.
foreign concept to men and women. So some of these concepts would be foreign. Because
do you know?
there's a rite of passage. There'll be some type of code. This is how you are supposed to be as a man. You're supposed to respect women. You're supposed to have respect for yourself.
And for
Women are
women as
supposed to
well.
respect. Yeah, a woman is supposed to respect men and have respect for themselves. When a woman has respect for herself, it draws the respect of men. When men have respect for themselves, it draws the respect of women. If you don't want to live if you don't want to live that way, what happens to you? You get ostracized. Simple as that. You're not
I
part of our society. Get out, move, go somewhere else.
I don't know why this is a big topic. I'll be honest with you. It's so crystal clear. Like JM just literally said everything. It's like it's so crystal clear. It's like, what are we talking about? What are we doing here? This is what I don't get about feminism. How did you expect not to get misogyny with everything that you're telling women to do? It's like, if I punch you, I shouldn't expect to get punched back. Like, what are you talking about? Of course, you were going to get men. You're going to get a reaction for feminism. And misogyny was the reaction that you were going to get. Men no longer have wives. Men no longer have, and then men themselves, they've been feminized, they've been sexualized, they've been all of that. I mean, what reaction were you expecting to get? I really don't. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me at all. But the thing is, as soon as you mention religion to this society, people become allergic. It's like, but religion is the only thing that promotes a moral code. I mean, where else are we seeing in society? Where else does what do we have something close to Christianity or even Islam that promotes a moral code in society, in a secular liberal society today? Because most people are just following liberal ideas, which comes down to secular humanism, feminism, and they all basically preach the same thing. Most people, if anything, they're following that religion. If anything, that's a religion that they're following, and they complain.
Do what thou wilt. Do what thou wilt.
It's like individualism. It's like, and then you're complaining. You're complaining for what you've created. What I don't like about what they're doing, yes, the red pill is bad, but yet something gave birth to the red pill. It's not as if there was a perfect ideology that people would adhere to before that was good for society, and all of a sudden red pill just came out of nowhere. It's like, no, that's not what happened. Well, the consequence of feminism was the red pill, and now but the thing is, for you to just use the red pill as a scapegoat and you don't want to talk about the whole problem, it's like it's just hypocrisy, man. I'll be honest with you, it's just hypocrisy. I don't like it.
I don't feel the urge to save society though. I feel like from an outsider's perspective, this is your bed, you lay in it, and I hope you get bed bugs. I have a certain.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on
that too.
I don't know why, but
I'm trying to save it. I'm trying to save it.
I don't know why. Okay.
That's why I like the fact that Trump is in office, because I don't like Trump, but they got the good or bad, they got the president they deserve.
Yeah. I'm in the position of you get what you deserve.
Right.
This is your bed, you lie in it, and I'm not going to jump in the river to save you from drowning. I hope you drown in it, because.
But my kids will be far away from that river though.
Yeah, because there's it takes.
Make sure your kids are away from the river. Yeah, everyone else's kids can drown.
because it takes great effort to go down this path, because there's so many warning signs towards this path that if you're down there, you want to be there.
That's a great point. Yeah, you want that.
Yeah,
you want that, so you have that now. It's like yeah, you want that, and now you have that. It's just the hypocrisy that basically I think I don't like that gives rise to these reactions. It's like, to me, I'm okay. And every Christian that lives like me, we're okay. We're going to continue to reproduce. We're going to continue to follow the idea, the beliefs that we follow. And you guys are going to continue to not reproduce, die out, and so on and so forth. It's fine. You know what I mean? It's working perfectly fine. It's just the part that just gets me upset. It's like when I'm seeing the hypocrisy. It's like, what? It's like, come on, guys. This is common sense. It's not that hard to figure out. I'll be honest. It's really not that hard to figure out. It's not that deep.
You know what, guys? I think I think we actually came. It's gonna sound very weird, almost cruel what I'm gonna say, but you'll understand. They want boys to be killing and whatever they're doing. All the stuff we spoke about. Essentially, that's what they want. Because when you don't make any efforts to stop a thing, when you promote a thing, when you try to make excuses for a thing, then to me, you kind of want it. You want your children to be wayward. You want your boys to be unruly and incels and dangerous. You want that because that's the society that you create. You think it's okay for your child to have 24 access to the internet, have their own rooms where you have to knock the door before you come in and ask, oh, you wanted to talk about anything you've watched today on the internet? If that's how you want to live your home, you want your child then to be potentially a nutter. That's how I see it. Because I don't want, and this is why I say you want it. Because I don't want it, and because I don't want it, they won't have access to the internet 24/7. They won't have the situation where I'm knocking on my child's door and asking, "Can I come in?" and what have you watched today? I won't have that situation, so that means I don't want that. You see my point? If you don't have those boundaries in place, to me, you're kind of saying it's okay, and almost like you want it to happen. Almost. That's how I see it.
I can confirm that I've seen that type of behavior. I say that because there's a bit of feedback for some reason. I say that because the feminist woman sees her children as the feminist and the feminist man. So I don't want to be gender specific. I don't want to blame one gender for this.
Yeah. It's gone past the woman now. Feminism is a
They see the children as an extension of their own deification to a certain degree. They see their children as an extension of their own ego, not both, because they serve no one. So why would their children serve anyone? They serve themselves.
So let the children kill them then.
Yeah, they probably will. Yeah.
That's what I say.
No,
let your child become a monster. You're saying that your child is a deity, so let him act like one. And God has the power of life over death, so let him do that, and you should be okay with it.
I mean, but the thing is, should we be surprised with an ideology that kills children? We shouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised that a feminist woman would see a child in the way that Hassan described, because at the end of the day, I mean, look at what the ideology teaches about what women should do and be. You know, being a whore is a good thing. It's called sexual liberation. I mean, what
for men and women, not just for women, by the way, for men and women.
Men and women, because men and women were there marching together. It wasn't just women marching; it was men and women marching during the 60s, 70s, 50s. It was all of them marching together, you know. So at the end of the day, what the what's his name? John Michelle James said. He said when you said hit the nail on the head. They want this,
right?
I mean, you want this.
Well,
you know,
that said it, actually.
Exactly. So there's a Christian guy trying to stop himself from engaging in all the promiscuity that he sees in society, and then there's another guy saying there's nothing wrong with that. It's like, who wants it? Who doesn't want it? Is it the Christian guy who's trying to fight against it, or is it the guy who wants to live by it? It's like if you wanted it, why are you complaining about the consequences now? It doesn't make. You made your bed, lie in it.
Right.
You want it.
Self-fulfilling prophecy, you call it.
Yeah, stop with the hypocrisy. You wanted this. This is what you chose. Remember, we live in a secular society. You can choose to do and be whatever you want to be. So that's what you chose. Why are we complaining? What I don't like about that program is it's like we chose feminism, not me, but they chose feminism. Now that's why I find them hypocritical, and I don't believe them at all, because they say one thing but then they say another as well. It's like you guys all upheld this. You wanted women to enter the workforce and make everything more expensive. Fine, it happened. Now both parents have to work, and we hardly got time to raise our children. It's like, but you chose this. You did all of this, and now it's like now you're surprised that Parents are relying on iPads to raise their kids, are relying on phones to raise their kids because they're probably both at work. It's like to me, they've done it on purpose. To me, it was designed from day dot. To me, there was an agenda from the very beginning. None of this happened by coincidence. This wasn't a natural coincidence that took place. This all happened by design. And now it's like this is a big issue to the point where Mr. Keir Starmer is talking. We should have played a video of him talking in Parliament about this, and I couldn't believe that this guy brought this up. But again, I know there's an agenda behind it.
Guys, there's a show called Gangs of London that's out. Okay, it's a third series. I was watching an episode the other day where the main character had been shot and he got rescued by an older man and an older woman, and his dad was a notorious gangster, and that's kind of the wife knew about the father and said, "Well, I rescued you because I idolized your dad, who was a gangster." The husband said, "I didn't idolize him," and she said, "Well, I did." Right. So that immediately I thought, that's weird. So then they wanted to rescue the guy, the main character who was shot, the young guy who was shot. He had to be transported to a part of London, and the only way they could do it is by going underground using the London tunnels. The old man didn't want to go. The wife said to him, "No, you've got to take him." Right. So when they went downstairs, they suddenly started to get attacked. And then the young guy said to him, "Why did you come down here when you didn't want to come down here, when you knew it would be dangerous?" He said, "Well, because my wife told me to do it." The young guy said to him, "Do you do everything your wife says?" He said, "Oh, you've never been married."
There you go.
Guess what happened to the old man, by the way? He was killed. He was killed in the tunnel.
Listening to his woman.
Yeah. But this is what's being taught. This is what I'm saying. So when you want to create a society like that, where you think it's funny for for someone to say clearly, "I'm only doing this because my wife does it," and I want you to reverse the roles, reverse it, and have the woman say to her, "I'm only doing this because my husband said to do it," and he said, "Do you do everything your husband says?" And she says, "Of course I do. You've never been married."
Oh my
They
day.
would never allow that dialogue. Okay, they would never allow that dialogue in a modern show ever.
And that's how I know it's
There would be outrage. There would be cancelled. The show would be cancelled.
And that's how I know it's by design, and that's how I know it's an agenda. You see what John Michelle just described right there? It's perfect. This is how I know it's by design. This is how I know, because try to do the opposite and see if you're going to get the same reaction. You're going to get a completely different opposite reaction, and it's one of, "Oh, you misogynist, you're this, you're this, you're this and that." Shout outs to all of you, man. We've got 40 of you guys watching, and we're going to end the show soon. Because I think we've said it all. But yeah, absolutely. That's how you know it's an agenda. That's how you know it's done by design, is by basically try to flip that over, try to do the reverse, and have a woman say that. No, society would go crazy. There will be outrage.
But is that a bad thing, though?
Sorry? Is
that a bad thing?
No, it's only a bad thing when there's an agenda behind it. It's not that there's nothing bad with a man saying, "I listen to my wife," but of course I make let's say I listen to my wife. Of course you listen to your wife.
No, but remember the context was he didn't want to do it, and the guy said, "Why are you doing things that you don't want to do?"
Oh, I see.
That's what I'm saying. So he didn't want to. It was against his better judgment, right?
Oh.
He made this, and she said, "No, you got to take him." And he said, the guy said, Why are you doing this when you don't want to? Do you do everything your wife says you don't want to do?" He says, "Yeah, you've never been married."
Yeah, but generally speaking, that is the usual. Taken away from that context, generally speaking, that is how men respond to those type of questions. It's not even those type of questions, but my wife runs that. She runs everything. That's basically how men react to that. And we think it's funny, we think it's endearing, we think it's all of that, but it actually has a bigger, more darker purpose as far as feminism goes. Now, to answer your question, Hassan, there is nothing per se in saying that. There is nothing wrong, but there is something wrong when there is an agenda behind it. There is something wrong when you never hear the opposite. When you never hear you never hear a woman saying, "Of course I'll obey my husband. I do exactly what he tells me to do."
Right.
And if he tells me to jump, I ask him how high. That never happens.
Yeah,
You
but
know
this
what I
is
mean?
the thing. No, I'm with you there. I get that. It's the subtle, as you're saying. When you said the, sorry.
Don't worry about that. There you go.
As you're saying, you're suggesting that there's a subtle agenda, which is feminism in a sense. And my issue is, I get it. It's not that feminism came about because the idea was seeded into the minds of women throughout the world, throughout the centuries, to, in a sense, subvert society. I don't think that there may be an argument for that, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think ultimately, and I've heard this argument being presented by red pill men, and I may be saying this to present an alternative argument to stop this episode becoming an echo chamber, but it could be a case of the argument that we're making, which we could be making, that a religious society is far more balanced and does not lead to this type of chaos. But it could be that religious men have failed, which is why we're here. Because for me, from a Muslim perspective, Islam is perfect. It's fine. It suffices to build a society. And a Christian could say that, and I could see where he's coming from, because the nuclear family, as it were, or the traditional values, as you could say, are there in Christianity and in Christian society. And so I can understand a Christian making that argument as well.
But aside, I've heard rumblings, and I'm sure you've heard these rumblings from a lot of Muslim men saying that no, things are not perfect anymore, and now the women are becoming much more westernized and kind of, wearing tight-fitting. I don't know what you call those things they wear. Wearing tight-fitting stuff, and so yeah. I mean, I've seen that. I'm sure you've seen that.
I know intimately those stories. I know them very well. I know people who've had those stories where they say precisely they want the full rights of feminism, but they also want the full rights of the Islamic perspective. So they're picking and choosing. They want the freedom from feminism, but they want the lack of responsibility from a traditional perspective, a lack of responsibility for the household bills and things like this. So they're picking and choosing both from both worlds, but leaving the responsibility from both worlds. So some could argue a woman from a religious background is twice as dangerous as a feminist, because she has the allure of tradition, but the venom of a modern woman. Not to use those terms so liberally and so callously, but that's the argument I'm trying to present. Now, I've never heard a man of character complain. It's always the weak men. It's always men that I know personally who lack character, who are quick to lose their temper, childlike, look for emotional support from women like that. These women are their mothers. Choose poorly when it comes to a woman, and then they complain.
Right.
So the point I'm saying is, even religion, if it's not used properly, is meaningless.
Can I reply to that? Can I reply to that?
Yeah.
When it comes to, you said something about religious people failing. It's everyone, even the person who adheres to the religion, has an obligation to follow the religion, and not everyone lives up to it perfectly. In fact, no one lives up to it perfectly. We've got great examples, but they themselves would tell you that they didn't live up perfectly to the religion. But is the religion a better standard for society to try and imitate and emulate than, say, for example, feminism? Yes, absolutely. Are we ever going to create the perfect society? No, because human beings are all flawed. And we teach this in Christianity, that we have a sinful nature because of the fall of Adam and Eve. So we are flawed. Naturally, we are flawed. So perfect society, this what do they call it? This, the perfect world,
utopia.
This utopia will never exist. And I think this is what, I don't know, some liberal ideologies have been trying to achieve. it will never exist. Why? Because the problem with the liberal ideology is they're not taking into account the fact that human beings are flawed and they are perfect, which means they're capable of lying, they're capable of being deceptive, they're capable of doing evil. And because they don't think in terms of good and evil, they always give even the people are evil the most the benefit of the doubt. So to me, it's not about it's about what standard is better for society to live up to. Is it going to be perfect on a theocracy, on a religious? No, it's not going to be perfect. But is it a better standard than, say, feminism, which tells people to go and kill their babies and women to prostitute themselves? Yes, it's a way much better system. It will create less chaos. It will create less problems. So at the end of the day, I don't think it's about did religious people create this situation? No, I don't think. When you say that, it's like, I believe that there's also I don't think everything is for example, if there was no, I believe there's a darker force. There's a dark force trying to destroy religion, or trying to destroy, for example, as a Christian, I speak as a Christian, trying to destroy Christianity in the world. It's not just some guys who don't want to follow Christianity. It's not just some guys who don't want to. It doesn't just come down to people not wanting to do, certain people not wanting to do what is moral and what is right. I believe that there is a real deep dark force in the world that's like, for example, I can see it just by looking at feminism. I can see that this is an agenda. This is not something that just, it's not because of a few women that wanted to kill their babies and be promiscuous. It's nothing to do with that. There's a real agenda behind it, and I believe that's what I look for. And I believe that there's a real dark force so it's not that religion or religious people failed, is that there is a real dark force that is trying to destroy religion or trying to destroy what is right. Because if it was just about people not wanting to follow, certain people not wanting to follow religion, these people will eventually come to their senses and they'll realize that what they were doing was right, and it's better to live in one society than another. I believe there's a real dark agenda.
Okay.
But then again, I'm always right. Bro, last thoughts, guys. Last thoughts.
Shall I go, or do you want to?
Yeah, go.
So yeah, in conclusion, is this going to be an epidemic, a nationwide problem? Not really, because even the incel mindset, which is essentially what is being alluded to being the problem, I think it's a minor problem amongst the majority. I don't think most men are like that. Most young men are like that. I don't think that at all. I think most people are just normal. I don't think it may go from 0.1% to 0.2%, something like this. But the great majority of children, although they have a strange moral compass, things just even out naturally to a more of a norm, because it seems unlikely to be an epidemic of some sort. But to those who are suffering these consequences, setting aside people with mental health issues, those who have taken this path voluntarily, those men who see women as adversaries, those women who see men as something to subjugate, and ultimately their failure is your success. Whatever misfortune that comes to you, that's your own choice. Look at the works of feminists from the 1980s, the 1990s, who now in their 60s, their 70s, lament. They literally say, I mourn for my unborn children, meaning for all the abortions they've had, for all the children that they abandoned, all the relationships they threw away in an effort to strike at the patriarchy as it's some sort of revolutionary pursuit, who now are alone in their old age, living miserable, cold lives, and various other people who've played with things that don't necessarily need to be experimented with. I don't care. This is your bed. You lie in it, and I hope you live with your misery in silence and keep it to yourself.
JM, you still there? I'll go. All right. Here's my final thoughts. Adolescence. I think this Netflix special is nothing but feminist production. I think it was created to further demonize men, emasculate men, and feminize men. That's what I believe. By pointing the finger at men and saying that men are the problem. Is red pill bad for men? Yes, absolutely, 100%. Does the red pill exist in a vacuum? No, it doesn't. Not even one bit. There is red pill is a consequence of feminism, and this is something that they don't want to take responsibility for. So to me, this is nothing more than feminism, basically. Trying to further demonize men, further emasculate men, in order for them to achieve the goal that they want to achieve. So, and don't get me wrong, like I mean, as far as watching goes, I liked it. But the feminist undertones in that is, I mean, if you know about feminism, you'll hear it. It's all over the place. Patriarchy is evil. She continuously keeps asking about the father, trying to basically find a link between father and abuse. It's literally ridiculous. The whole thing is just blame men, and women are not held accountable for what they do. But then again, this is what you expect when people follow liberal ideologies. As a Christian, I suggest everyone abandon liberal ideologies and adopt Christianity instead, because otherwise you will be another statistic. No, so that's my final thoughts. Yes, Jay, your final thoughts.
Yeah, I'm glad you picked up on it. We didn't discuss that part, and I'm glad you kind of reminded me. And yeah, there was an attempt to try to link the father's behavior to the son's behavior, and that's what it was completely out of order and very unnecessary, and a bit kind of insidious actually, to try to link the father's behavior to the son being a lunatic and a psychopath. Yeah, that we forgot to talk about that, and that really put me off. And otherwise, quite good show in terms of entertainment. I did not like that at all. But in terms of my final thoughts, I think that I think it tried to conflate a lot of issues regarding violence, indoctrination, the lack of family support, the lack of morals in society, the access to inappropriate material that society has allowed, not one individual, certainly not one bald-headed man in Romania is going to be blamed for. Yeah, that to me was that is what I take from it. I think it's just and then let's not forget the whole sensationalism as well. They said it, they need sensationalism to boost their newspaper sales, to boost their stupid TV morning shows, where you have the same a morning show that is condemning someone like Andrew Tate, but had a presenter that was grooming a 14-year-old or 50-year-old boy as a married man. So please miss me with any kind of moral kind of compass when you have that type of stuff going on behind you, under your very nose. But you want to talk about someone living thousands of miles away, who for my knowledge, hasn't been involved in any type of pedophilic behavior. So I'm not going to be indoctrinated with nonsense that when I know there's an agenda out here just to sensationalize an issue for your own financial gain. So that's my final thoughts on that.
All right, guys, appreciate you guys. It was an amazing reaction. Yeah, definitely a topic worth talking about. And shouts to everyone that was watching. Shouts to APD. Shouts to we've got 37 of you guys still watching. Shouts to you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Welcome to the Solution Podcast, and we will see you next time, guys. All right, take care. Peace.
Take care.